Great moments are born from great opportunities. That's Herb Brooks, kids. Miracle on Ice coach. Don't let the fact that he was a Minnesota Gopher detract from one of the greatest quotes and, more importantly, greatest sentiments in sports history. And I'm going to present for you that the Wisconsin Badgers have just this kind of opportunity this Saturday morning at 11 a.m. at Bryant-Denny Stadium down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Before we embark on this quick hitter today, please like and subscribe to make sure that I am put ahead of the PJ Fleck Soup Hour, which has been doing a little too well for its own bridges, in my opinion. So I think Luke Fickle has probably said it best this week in interviews when media members have kind of put the question to him about whether this team is ready to face Alabama. Fickle's been pretty blunt about it. I don't want to quote exactly what he said, but some to the effect of, no, I don't think so. And I don't think what he means there is this team, it's impossible with them to beat Alabama. I don't think that's at all what he is saying. I think what Fickle is stating, and I think this is a little bit of psychology on his part, because he knows his kids are going to be listening to this, is that if they roll into Alabama Saturday morning and think they can play like they did against Middle Tennessee last Saturday in Camp Randall, it's going to be a long morning into afternoon in the state of Alabama for the Badgers. Okay. Yeah, I don't think this is a big secret, but he's telling us what he has told them. If you run block like that, if 30% of the snaps are causing your quarterback to jump up in the air and setting, frankly, every one of those plays was a nanosecond off then because of that or more. If you allow downfield passing to Conference USA guys, you're going to struggle with All-Americans and NFL types. It's no more complicated than that, guys. Fickle is not going to BS you here. Wisconsin is understandably a substantial underdog in this game. Okay, I believe it's up to 21.5 now, which means Vegas is getting sick and tired of everyone taking Alabama. They're trying to get a little bit of action back on the Wisconsin side. Don't be shocked if that number goes up to 22.5 before Saturday. My crack statistician, Joe Ferguson, looked at the largest betting line against Wisconsin in modern Badger history, and 22.5 would be the largest in at least 30 years. We're going back to terrible days like 1989 against the Miami Hurricanes and things like that. And maybe some of those in 1990 and 1991. I haven't gone back and had Joe research all that. But in the modern, successful 93 Rose Bowl and beyond Badger era, seeing 21, 22 point spreads, you just don't see them, guys. Wisconsin's been too good a program. Now, with that said, because people have been like, and it's all thanks to Luke Fickle. That's not really my point, although there have been a lot of better Badger teams than the last couple. Wisconsin hasn't played many games like this. They have been games at Ohio State with some better teams, but I would hazard a guess that an okay, decent, like 2014 Wisconsin team, 2015 Wisconsin team rolling into Bryant-Denny against a top 10 Alabama team, although Alabama's ranked 19th at this point. Wisconsin would have been a 2-3 touchdown dog. So it's not just because of Luke Fickle. I mean, there have been Wisconsin teams, we'll see how this one develops, that have not been Big Ten champion caliber teams that would have been massive underdogs if they're playing down in SEC hellholes. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Getting back to my initial premise, courtesy of Herb Brooks, the only gopher I'll ever quote. Wisconsin has nothing to lose here, guys. I mean, I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't sound disrespectful. This is not a FCS team going and playing a ranked FBS team. It's not at that level. But this is, and this harkens back to a theme that I have been talking about since the spring. Wisconsin is one of the most slept on, disrespected, like just basically ignored teams in major college football, for better or worse. And I'm here to tell you that might be for better. Nobody in the world outside of that locker room at 1440 Monroe Street and their relatives, close friends, significant others are expecting Wisconsin to go in there and win that game this Saturday. If we're being honest with each other. You may get a fun homer blogger predicting a Badger upset. You're going to get some fans, not many, predicting a Badger upset in a shock the world. But those are extreme outliers. Obviously, I want you to throw what you're feeling in the comments after this. But I know my audience pretty well, and I don't think any of you think they're going to win this game either. So there's two schools of thought on people not thinking you can do something. One is you don't do it, you roll over, no one expects you to do it, you go in and go through the motions and get your ass kicked. Certainly a possibility. I know there are probably at least a few NFL caliber guys, probably high draft pick types in that Alabama front seven that are going to be absolutely salivating about this game. That's just the reality, kids. That first time that Danny O'Neal, I think it's going to be O'Neal, guys, has to jump up and grab that errant snap. I guess you're sensing who I think the center is going to be too. I don't think we're going to be seeing the regular center in there. They're going to be wide-eyed with drool running down their face. They're going to be so excited. It's going to be like Thanksgiving dinner. So obviously, what this means is, I don't think this is a shock to anyone. To have a prayer in this game, Wisconsin is going to have to play a very different game than they played either of the first 2 weeks, frankly. Although the defense, I think, was really dominant in that week one against a very good quarterback. This ain't the MAC anymore. They're going to have to go in and just be better. Harkening back to what Fickle said, the Badgers, if they play like they have, they're not going to be bad. That's basically the corollary of the upshot of what Fickle said. But that doesn't choke off the possibility that they could play better and make this a game, and who knows? I'm sure that's what Fickle's telling these guys in the room. So we have the issue with having to go in there, play motivated, play better, play tighter, check all those boxes that you didn't check maybe against Middle Tennessee. That's one half of this. But the other half that I kind of want to emphasize right now is this. Being an extreme underdog ain't the worst thing in the world, guys. There isn't ever nothing to lose. So if I've said that, I didn't mean it in the literal sense. Losing this game is a loss. If you lose this game, it's a loss. If you look bad, it sucks. Recruits watch this. Fans watch this. Journalists watch this. Other teams watch this. You don't want anyone thinking Wisconsin's a pushover. But when you have the cards stacked against you and every pundit talking about how Bama's going to run in there and roll your ass up like you're a blocking dummy, and you go in and give them a game and dare to dream somehow find a way to win that game. And it is a bit of a dream. Wisconsin's an extreme underdog, and for good reason. But winning the game is not impossible. When that happens, you have the chance to do something special. And beyond the pressure of not getting embarrassed, all of the pressure of that game is on Alabama. There's already been there probably is not a more entitled fan base in the country than the Crimson Tides. And I understand losing to Florida State in that first game when they were ranked higher and Florida State was unranked. That, of course, has been remedied. What was not ideal for them. I'm not going to tell them how they should feel about their own team beyond this. They lost that game, and it was like a free-for-all. Got to fire our coach. This isn't working. This is a disaster. Oh, to have the problems of the Alabama Crimson Tide right now up in Madison. Boy, that would be horrible. So you have I understand that Alabama won. I think it was 77-0 against some speed bump last week, showing that they certainly were not dead. But there is pressure on DeBoer and his staff and these guys that in some ways there isn't against Wisconsin. Because if Wisconsin goes and loses by 3-4 touchdowns, it's going to be disappointing. The fans are not going to be happy. Luke Fickle can't win a big game. That's all going to be there. Okay, I get that. But the counterbalance to that is if Wisconsin does play them close, or as I noted, Dare to Dream somehow squeaks this out, the upside is so disproportionately high for Wisconsin relative to its downside in this game that it's just a wonderful opportunity. And the flip side is for Bama, the downside is so much higher than the upside. If Alabama goes in there and beats Wisconsin by 3 touchdowns, it's exactly what everyone thought they were supposed to do. I don't think any fans are going to be like super hyped. Oh, they just beat Tomato Can Wisconsin by 20. Who cares? But if this game is close, it's going to be the pressure. It's going to feel like the Crimson Tide are in a stalk or a pillory. The pressure. It's going to be pressure like they haven't felt in a long time. They cannot lose this game to Wisconsin. If this were a ranked Wisconsin team, losing it would be a big deal. If Wisconsin keeps it tight or beats them in this game, you think that the whispers of Kalen DeBoer needs to go were big then. It will be a large, flashing, pulsating neon sign 3 miles long around all Tuscaloosa. That's pressure, kids. And that pressure is not on Luke Fickle. And that pressure is not on Danny O'Neill or Ricardo Hallman. I feel like it's not like you ever want to be a lightly regarded team because that means that things aren't going the way you want them to overall. But there is some value in being overlooked, getting back to my initial thesis on this, that can play into Wisconsin's hands here. Okay? So, simple as this, I'm not predicting anything. I think it is still likely Wisconsin loses this game. But they're in a tremendous position right now to do something special and to change the narrative of the Wisconsin football program. Great moments are born from great opportunities. And that is exactly what the Wisconsin Badgers have in Tuscaloosa this Saturday. Scary Alvarez is out.